Thank you, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third of our series of the Windrush National Organisation online engagement. My name's Clive Foster. I'm Senior Minister for the Pilgrim Church based in Nottingham, and also one of the Vice Chair of the Windrush National Organisation. So I'm delighted that you can join us for today's session. And as we always do, we're going to start off just by those of you who wish to do so at the moment. We're just going to start off with having a word of prayer, just to ask for God's blessing. So those of you who wish to acknowledge that can do so now. So we'll just have a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for your mercy and your goodness towards us. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to meet in this fashion. We just pray that everything will be to your order and to your grace as we look to you now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, as was said earlier, today is another session that we are delighted to have with us, an opportunity again to be looking at this all-important issue around the Windrush scandal. And we have an agenda for this evening, which those of you who can get access to the chat, you can see that is in there at the moment. You'll be hearing very shortly from our chair for the Windrush National Organisation, Bishop Desmond Jadu. And then in tonight's meeting, we'll also be hearing from one of the members of the Windrush National Organisation, our Windrush Generations in Bradford. And they'll be sharing briefly some of the work that they're doing. Because we recognise that obviously there is a work to be done around the Windrush scandal, but there's also some engaging and great work and inspiring work being done for the Windrush generation. And as a part of this organisation, we have affiliated groups that are doing that. So tonight, you're going to be hearing from one of those groups who's going to be doing that as well. Also, you'll be hearing from the Home Office. We are specifically this evening looking at the Windrush compensation claims assistance as well. So we specifically are asking our Home Office colleague who will be sharing with us the process around the claims assistance. This is an important part and area also of understanding that part of the support that is open to people as well. And after that, we'll be hearing again from Bishop Desmond, who will be sharing with us about the exceptions payments. This is another area that's affecting our people, and it's important that we can understand and recognize that process and how people can get support through that. And we'll be sharing as Winnow how we can, the progress that we're making in that specific area as well. So if you do have questions about compensation assistance, the claims assistance, please do put them in the chat. Use the chat facility to put your questions as well. And anything about the exceptions payment, use the chat as well. We will be having a question and answer session at the end of that, specifically to obviously tackle those questions around the claims assistance. And we do have other colleagues from the Home Office, from the status as well, a couple of regular colleagues, and they'll be introduced later. So if you do have specific questions around status, we have two further colleagues who'll be able to potentially answer those questions. So as we said before, one of the things that we are doing as part of Winnow is that we are capturing your questions as well, and we are making those public on our website. And so there may be already questions that you may have around status and compensation that may be actually already been answered. And so do check out our website for that. But I want to let you know tonight that the emphasis will be around that claims assistance with regards to managing questions from our Home Office representative who specifically come to tackle that issue. And then we have our status personnel from Home Office who will be helping us. So please feel free to engage in today's meeting and do use the chat facility. And let's observe the protocol that was stated earlier by Bishop Desmond Jadu. So I'm delighted to hand over now to our chair for the Windrush National Organisation, Bishop Desmond Jadu, to say a few words about the organisation. Bishop Desmond.
Thanks very much, Reverend Foster, and good evening and welcome. This is our third meeting, and we did a pledge at the beginning of the year that every month on the third Thursday of every month, we will have one of these engagement meetings and we'll invite the Home Office along. We started these meetings actually in December. And one of the important things is that we see the Windrush National Organisation as a bridge as to bringing together both sides, as it were, in order to ensure that whilst seeking justice for the Windrush generation, we do it in a way that will benefit everyone. And that's what's about, benefiting everyone and ensuring that that engagement continues so things like this never happen again. Now, it is a tall task, and we know there's a lot of mistrust, and we know there's a lot of anger, and we know that this can spill over at times. But importantly, what we're trying to do here is help to get people sorted out. Now, importantly, and I use that word sorted out because there's no other way to describe it, because people have so many different issues. Importantly for us, when we started this last month, we recorded the session. It took a couple of weeks to get on our website because we're a voluntary organization. I need to explain this. And what we had to do is find a way of how to ensure that we could upload that video to be a true reflection. We found a way. It took us a couple of weeks. We found a way, and that is available on YouTube. Importantly as well, the last meeting, we had to go through about 150 comments, and then we had to pull out of those comments about 45 questions. In addition to that, we had to leave the Q&A open for email questions to come in for a week. So those were submitted to the Home Office about 10 days after the meeting, for which I apologize, but you know, we were waiting on some questions to come in. Those are with the Home Office. They have pledged to respond to those questions, and we're waiting for those responses. But rest assured that as soon as those questions are answered, they will be posted on our website, and they will be posted just like the last ones, in exactly and in accordance with how the Home Office has responded. So we won't be editing them in any way, shape or form. So please be assured of that. Tonight's video will be available on our website within 7 days of today's meeting. It may well be on our website before, but it's just to let you know that as well. Now that's me finished for the moment. It's my privilege to hand over to Windrush Descendants in Bradford. They're affiliated to us, but he's also a director of the Windrush National Organisation. He's our Director of Media and Communications and Marketing. Please, I'll hand over now to Nigel Guy. Good evening, Nigel.
Good evening, Des. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the WNO community engagement meeting. Doing something slightly different, just giving an overview. I've been told to speak, and I'm speaking for 10 minutes, and I'm wondering how can I fit everything that we've done in 10 minutes. So I'm trying my best. So here goes. So I'll be starting. So I'm going to share a screen. Can you all see that?
Yes, Nigel.
Okay. Well, welcome. I have called this presentation Raising the Standard for Windrush. I'm a company director of Windrush National Organisation. It's in the name, it's a national organisation, but also I'm a director of Windrush Generations UK in Bradford, West Yorkshire, marketing and communications and lead volunteer coordinator. I've been given this opportunity to share some brief information about the work and initiatives we do in Bradford and beyond. Windrush Generation is a collective of individuals, activists, community groups of various ages, but mainly second and third generations who became active in reviving the acknowledgement of the Windrush generations in Bradford, West Yorkshire. So in November 2017, in preparation for the Windrush 70th anniversary, we planned our celebrations and commemorations themed on the contributions of the Windrush generations. We were inspired by the previous 50th Windrush anniversary events that were held in Bradford and also around the UK, of which my mother, My uncles, my aunties, my siblings were all active participants with many elders and descendants back in 1998. We started with no funds whatsoever. We just had the will, desire, and passion to do something great. However, we gained momentum and support from the community and also from our local authority. With this collective support, we were able to hold a large 3-day cultural festival outside in the sun of the city centre of Centenary Square in Bradford, and also events in the City Hall, local libraries, museums, in schools, at elderly daycare centres, and also in churches. We also designed and produced a number of Windrush memorabilia, which you can see, and merchandise to help fund and sustain our activities. We created a bespoke commemorative flag, which I will touch on later, and each year we have strived to make the celebrations and commemorations bigger, better, and more relevant. In 2019, the Windrush scandal was brought to the public's attention. The Windrush became more prominent in the public's eye for the sufferings the Windrush generations have faced, rather than the huge sacrifices and contributions the people from the Caribbean and Commonwealth states have made to help rebuild the UK from the aftermath of World War II, and enriching British culture, commerce, health, sports, politics, science, and all facets of UK society as a result. And in the face of the general public outcry of the wrongs of the government's hostile environment, the dynamics of what we had originally acknowledged Windrush for has now changed and has necessitated us to tackle the grave injustice faced by many people. As a consequence and need, Windrush Generations UK has focused its aims and objectives on the 7 C's of Windrush. The 7 C's of Windrush, you may ask? Well, let me explain. You may have heard of the 7 C's in your geography and history lessons, but maybe not the 7 C's of Windrush. Well, let me explain by stating what we mean by the 7 C's of Windrush. It took our ancestors, parents, and families a lot of sacrifice to cross a vast ocean over many centuries and decades, whether it be by force or by choice. This is why most of us are here today, are in the UK. Even in these times, we are still chartering the 7 C's of Windrush. The 7 C's of Windrush that we are navigating for Windrush are as follows. Contributions, commemorations of the Windrush generation, the celebrations of the Windrush generation, the care for the Windrush generation, the challenges faced by the Windrush generation, the conflicts faced by the Windrush generation, and the change that's needed for the Windrush generation. Here is another snapshot of what we do. We're also involved with engagement meetings with the local authority and the Home Office since June 2019. And we are now working very closely with Windrush National Organisation to continue this much needed work of advocacy, ambassadorship, and signposting to assist potential applicants to apply for their UK status. With help of specialist local independent immigration advisors and through the Windrush Task Force, we also advocate and support potential claimants to apply for their compensation through the Windrush Compensation Scheme, which in truth has been slow to get off the ground locally, but hopefully through our engagement meeting and raising awareness together with the Windrush National Organisation and our various project initiatives, we can increase take-up accordingly. We also do signposting. We signpost the community to obtain relevant guidance and support to help them manage their income and benefits, and where possible, to obtain emergency funds for cost of living and emergency fuel funds during the COVID-19 lockdown. We campaign and we lobby. We continue to lobby our local authority and the national government and the Home Office to improve the circumstances for the community and those affected by the Windrush scandal. As an example, we are presently helping Kenneth Williams, a Windrush survivor who has and still a huge impacted by the hostile environment with negative, unjust treatments he had to face as a result of having no support and being out of work for over 9 years. Although he has now gained employment with his old employers after Windrush scandal broke in 2019, all being well, Kenneth will be applying through the Home Office Windrush Compensation Scheme, and we do trust he will receive his full compensation at a rate that is fitting to his huge losses and sufferings, and to obtain his compensation when he submits his claim without any delay from the Home Office. There are still many people, more people local to Bradford and around the UK and abroad, that are yet to apply or realise they can apply for UK status and compensation. And through the help of the Windrush National Organisation, we'll be seeking as many as we can to engage and maximise their claims. Windrush National Organisation is an organisation that is helping us. Local to Bradford, we have a potential list of 30 primary claimants to work with, and that excludes their immediate families who have also been impacted. So there is still much work to do. And Windrush schemes can be extended, we hope, until such time all applicants and claimants have submitted their cases to the narrative, so their narrative of their impacted stories can be ensured. And we're hoping that the assessors who look at their stories, look at their applications, can really feel the damage that has been done, so everyone can receive the compensation and status that is due to them. We also campaign against the Windrush in terms of, we don't campaign against Windrush, I'm sorry, we campaign against the government's hostile environment and its unjust, inept deportations. We do wellbeing projects here up in Bradford as well, like many other Windrush organisations. We have an active initiative called the 1-1 Cocoa Full Basket. It's a Caribbean saying that says, any little bit we're achieving, together we can achieve more. And we have over 30 active willing volunteers who provide provisions for over 300 meals per week, consisting of food pies, freshly cooked hot and chilled Caribbean style dishes, of which we deliver to their front door. And today we have provided provisions for over 7,000 meals to 175 separate households consisting of families, elders and young people who are isolated, vulnerable and locked in since the first lockdown in 2020. We're presently providing culturally appropriate meals and food parcels and wellbeing support under the COVID Winter Grant Scheme. We are in preparation with the community, volunteers and local business support, aiming to deliver this food parcel initiative beyond March 2021. In terms of COVID-19, as part of our outreach work, we're raising awareness of COVID-19 prevention and providing information about myth busting the COVID-19 and the concerns of the community with the vaccination, so the community can make their informed decisions without any undue pressure, and helping to gain trust from the community ambassadors they know and trust. In terms of community development and outreach work, we are closely working with organisations that help to improve the life chances of our communities in education, health, employment, youth, elder and family work and well-being. We are presently leading on the formulation of a consortium of local agency partners to fulfil and bridge a huge gap to overcome the restrictions and reductions to increasing positive social and political change. Now, I'm also a radio presenter and we do the Reggae Roots and Culture show and also another show called Our Guy in Bradford. Each week we do a reggae show featuring genres of different musics, and we actually have dedications and feature many people in terms of what they want to talk about, but also it's a vibrant show. And our motto is dubbing is a must. It's on at 9 p.m. every Saturday, so do tune in to BCB 106.6 FM. Now, on a serious note, there's also another program. It's called Our Guy in Bradford. It's on every Tuesday, where I have the opportunity to not just interview and ask questions with local people, but also movers and shakers around the country and even internationally as well. So we're doing our work to raise awareness of what we're doing. Now, we're raising the standard for Windrush. Now, one of our successful projects is to increase and promote the positive aspects of Windrush with various Windrush memorabilia, from t-shirts, chopping boards, you name it. If we can make it, we will do in order to sustain our activities, because funding is few and far between and we've got to be self-sustaining as well. And one of our popular Windrush memorabilia is a commemorative Windrush pin badge. And on a large production, we've designed to promote a commemorative Windrush flag that has generated a lot of interest and traction from the community groups and local national agencies. In short, we call this initiative, "We are standing on their shoulders and we are raising the standard for Windrush." We are raising awareness in all areas about the contributions of the Windrush generations and their descendants who have positively contributed much in all facets of British society and the Commonwealth. We now raise the Windrush flag every year from the 22nd of June and for a week or so, and also during Black History Month in a number of towns and cities across the UK and abroad. Secondly, we are working to increase the improvement of lives from the aftermath of the Windrush scandal and the government hostile environment. We are gaining speed, momentum with our initiatives and have been raising the standard for Windrush since 2017 and since 2019 with an inaugural flag raising in Bradford and then in Leeds. And also in 2019, Windrush Generation commemorative pin badges was worn by a number of parliamentarians, MPs in the UK and the Houses of Parliament and the Lords. And the pin badge was also proudly worn at by the Jamaican Parliament and also by the Right Honourable Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Right Honourable Andrew Holness. You saw him in the previous slide. And, you know, it was a cross-party initiative. And what was that doing? That was actually giving a support, a visual and vocal support for the diaspora who came to the UK to help rebuild Britain from the aftermath of World War II. I am sure you will agree the Windrush generation have put their great back into Britain. That's what I believe, and I'm sure many of us know that. That in 2020, what we're planning to do, we want to raise more flags, and we've raised flags in Lancaster, Preston, Manchester, Salford, Nottingham, Newcastle, Huddersfield, Dewsbury, to name a few, Bristol and Southampton, and many others. The Windrush flag was also raised in Jamaica. We're trying to get support from other local authorities, other communities to raise the awareness of the plight of the Windrush generation, not just their contributions, but also the sufferings and pains that they've had. So if you want to get involved with not only the Windrush National Organisation, but also with the initiative of raising the standard for Windrush, well, contact us on the following. Thank you very much. I'm sure you'll agree, and I'm sure that you've listened to me, and I hope that this short snapshot of the work we do locally, nationally, and internationally has given you some food for thought and inspiration in raising the standard for Windrush. Thank you.
No, well, thank you very much. That was spectacular, Nigel, and thank you for the work that you and your team are doing in Bradford, not only in responding, obviously, to the Windrush scandal, but the tremendous work that you're doing there in terms of, you know, doing those food parcels, bringing the community together, bringing and demonstrating the value and the history and the contribution of the Windrush generation, and the spectacular flag that you have done, which has gone beyond Bradford, and obviously the badge which has gone beyond these shores. So this is really great, and thanks for the work that you're doing in Bradford and as part of the Windrush National Organisation.
I forgot to add, Clive, that the flag was also raised in an area that we never would have expected. And that was, we thought, you know, we considered in terms of the war and the journey that we're in and the plights that we're in. The flag was raised at the headquarters of the Home Office, DEFRA, and also the Ministry of Housing, Local Government and Communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And keep up the great work. And it's nice to hear, as we all do, I know the justice needs to be received, but it's great to hear as well some of the positive work that's been happening. And thanks again, Nigel, for your work that you're doing and sharing that with us as well. So Nigel mentioned how the Windrush flag was raised over the office of the Home Office. And I'm delighted now that we're going to go into our next portion where I'm going to be inviting our Home Office representative, Kate Ridley Moy, to come forward. And Kate will be focusing on the compensation assistance and she'll be sharing what the Home Office is doing around that, what that looks like, what it means, and she'll be actually sharing that with us. And so I want to invite Kate to come forward, and perhaps Kate, if you can just initially, if you can just direct us to any latest updates with regards to status and compensation that you may want to share with us since our last meeting, and then if you want to go into your presentation around the compensation assistance. Kate.
Thanks very much for having me. So for those of you I haven't met before, my name's Kate Ridley-Moy and I'm the head of the Windrush programme in the Home Office. So we were set up in March last year to respond to Wendy Williams' Lessons Learned review. So I've been part of the Home Office since last March. I was brought in from another department to provide some sort of independence and a fresh pair of eyes to lead that team. And we've been going since March to respond to the Wendy Williams review. In November, we also took on the oversight of Windrush outreach and also oversight of the compensation scheme. So we work really closely with Tom Gregg, who I think some of you have met on previous calls. So yes, that's where I am in the Home Office. In terms of an update since your last meeting, hopefully people will have seen we put out an updated fact sheet and also a press release, and I can put a link to that in the sidebar a bit later, at the end of January. So we do a monthly stats update anyway, but we did a particular one in January with a bit more information because obviously we had made some quite substantial changes to the compensation scheme in December, and we wanted to give people an update on that. So the sort of headlines from that is that as of the end of January, we had offered or paid out more than £8 million, and £4.5 million of that was just in the previous 6 weeks, so since the changes. So basically what that means is in that 6 weeks since the changes in December, we offered or paid out more money than had been offered in the previous 18 months that the scheme had been operating. So obviously, there will be an update coming out next week with the next month's worth of statistics, and we have continued to make very substantial offers and payments in that period, both preliminary offers, but also offering people increases on previous offers that they'd had in the past. But we're continuing with that sort of pace of quite dramatic increases and uplifts from what we had been doing before. We had said to people at the time in December when we wrote to them that everybody who had already received an offer in the past will have had their uplift by the end of January, and we have been able to do that. So everybody who had previously received an offer has been written to with their new offer, and we're in the process of then making those payments to people. And we've said to everybody that we will consider them for a preliminary offer by the end of March, and we are ahead of schedule to do that. So so we are sort of cracking through all of those. As soon as we write to people and make them those offers, and they get back in touch to say whether that's something that they want to accept, and then we're able to start processing those payments. So obviously there is a bit of back and forth there, and for most people they've indicated that their preferred method is post, so we do have to take that into account. But despite that, we're really pleased that we have been able to make such a substantial increase to what we've been able to pay and offer to people, and hopefully that's something that you will continue to see reflected month on month, is those kind of dramatic increases as a result of the feedback that we'd had from people that we were not going fast enough or making generous enough payments. So each month that goes by, we will be producing those statistics, and you'll be able to hopefully see that continued increase and that continued uptake. So that's a kind of update on that. We are also publishing next week, along with the compensation statistics, our latest task force data, and that also provides the breakdown by country, which I think is always a really interesting bit of data to see really the breadth of countries that were affected by the Windrush scandal, and also the breadth of people that we've been able to help, the range of different countries who've been through the task force and now have successfully got their documentation. So that will also be coming out next week. So that is a bit of an update on both of those. If it's all right with you, I will run on into the next item. Is that okay?
That'd be fantastic. Thank you for that update. And yeah, thanks. Please continue.
So yes, so the thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the claims assistance that we offer to people. So this is for people who might need some additional help completing their compensation forms. We put that in place at the beginning of the scheme. So back in 2019, Citizens Advice picked up that contract on a temporary basis. And we have over the last year been running a proper tender exercise in order to award that contract through a sort of full tender process. So that has been going on. I think it launched in March, it completed, and the successful bidders were announced in December. And that will be moving from Citizens Advice to a new organisation. They're called We Are Digital, and they will be very happy to come and speak to you at a future meeting. They will be taking over that contract from March. So we've now written to everybody who has expressed an interest in having some support, and going forward from the 1st of March, We Are Digital will be helping them and supporting them with their application. A couple of things I wanted to say about We Are Digital, and obviously they'll be happy to come along and answer a bit more of your questions in the future, is one of the things that is quite nice about them is that they work through a wider variety of organisations. So they do work with Citizens Advice, is one of the organisations that they work with, but they also work through libraries, they work with community centres, with specialist immigration charities, and We Are Digital already provides support for people who are applying for visas. So they do have quite a lot of experience of supporting people who are going through an application process and of finding sort of more creative and innovative ways to sort of reach out to people and to deliver that through other providers. They also have quite good digital offerings, so they're able to do video sessions as well as meeting people in person, and obviously that's important in the current environment where people aren't necessarily able to come to a centre in person. What else is it worth mentioning about them? So they also do quite a lot of work with housing associations, and again we think that that will be quite a valuable experience that they'll be able to bring in supporting people who are applying through the compensation scheme. They operate around the country. They've done quite a lot of work in town halls, through church groups, mosques, training providers. So those of you who are faith leaders, that might be something that they're able to get in touch with you and talk about how they might be able to support any existing sessions that you're running or information sessions. And I think they're very keen to kind of do that sort of outreach. Referral will continue to be made through the help team. So if someone gets in touch with the Windrush help team and says that they're finding this a bit of a struggle and they'd appreciate some assistance, the help team will be able to refer them to that. So that is the key thing to mention. We've been working very closely with them to make sure that there is a really smooth transition, so that nobody who's already getting assistance from Citizens Advice feels that they've been sort of left unsupported during this. And as I say, even though they don't start until March, we're already getting in touch with people to route them to We Are Digital. And so that change will be happening very shortly. So those are the key things I was going to say.
Okay, thank you very much, Kate. And I'm going to encourage people, if you've got questions about the claims assistance, please do put them in the chat, and we can get, when we come to our question and answer session, that we can try and pick those up and allow Kate to have a look at them. So if you do have any concerns about claims assistance, Citizens Advice Bureau, the new digital team and how it relates, please can you put that in the chat? And if you having problems putting that in the chat, when we come to the question and answer, we will ask you to unmute and ask your question, but we're just going to continue with the program. So perhaps Kate, and you don't have to answer this question, Kate, initially, but perhaps later on in the Q&A, I don't know if you can think about, if you can come back to us about the work that the Citizens Advice Bureau has done, and will there be any kind of like audit or report on that in terms of performance that will be made public? But perhaps you can come back to us later around that question as well. But that's one for starters.
Yes, just to come back on that in the first instance. So there's a lot of interest in what has worked and what hasn't worked in terms of the citizens' advice role. And certainly that's one of the things that Paulette Wilson, who is involved in the Windrush working group, is taking quite a key part in doing that evaluation and in making sure that those lessons are learned and are passed on to the new providers. So she has already been meeting with them and will be making sure that that feedback is passed on and that those improvements are made. But yeah, we will, that is a very important part of making sure that we take the best of what's worked and that we don't take forward anything where there's been room for improvement.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm sure there may be other questions that we can pick up later as well. Okay, I'm going to invite at this time then on our agenda Bishop Desmond Jadu, who's going to be sharing with us some of the process and updates with regards our engagement around the exceptional payments at this time. So I'm going to invite Bishop Desmond to come forward and share with us at this time.
Thank you very much, Reverend Clive, and good evening again, everyone. With reference to this is only a short item. The Home Office are currently reviewing the whole process of exceptional payments. I've had one meeting with them already, and the concerns that we raised are based upon the feedback that we've had. Some people found it difficult, some people found it long-winded. So the Home Office are revamping this at the moment. There's talk of a form, there's talk of faster payments, cutting out a lot of the red tape in terms of decision-making processes regarding making a decision and getting a payment to someone as well. An example of this is during the Christmas period, someone died and the family required funds to arrange the funeral, and we managed to get that done within a week. Which was quite good, and the funerals that the family were putting funds prior to the funeral. So that's progress. But in terms of this is consultation. So what we'd like you to do is to contact us with your concerns regarding, if you've got any concerns regarding exceptional payments. And plus, please be frank and blunt. It's not for questions tonight. It's for you to put your comments in the chat, or it's for you to email us. Just go to our website, windrushnationalorganisation.com. You can place your comments there. One thing, rest assured, I will submit all your comments to the Home Office regarding exceptional payments. So we're not going to be editing anything again. Everything will go to the Home Office, and we will follow those up. And what we'll do is we'll ask the Home Office to acknowledge receipt of that in terms of a letter that we can post on our website as well. So that is it really on exceptional payments at the moment. So what we can do, what I'd like you to do, spread the word on that as well, please. Anyone with any comments, anyone with any experiences, please let us know. Thanks, Reverend Clive.
Thanks, Bishop Desmond. So the call out there to the community and to anyone online is exceptional payments. Please be contacting Windrush National Organisation, and we'll put in the chat as well our website and email address for you to do that as well. Okay, so we're going to be hearing now from another member of the Home Office status team, and I'm going to invite David Levy to come forward. And David, if you can just again just share with us your reflections around status and as anything that you want to present to us, and any updates that you want to give us at this time. And thanks again for joining us. I know you have another colleague, Azar, who's with us. So David, over to you if you can share with us at this time.
Good evening, Clive. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Apologies, I've muted my camera from the start because my connection tonight is very intermittent. So please bear with if I start freezing or etc. I'm trying to reduce that. Yeah, in terms of status, as Kate's alluded to already, there will be updated revised statements coming out. So the most recent update was from the fact sheet, which was published in January 29th this year. But the commitment is there to have transparency in terms of the figures of numbers of people who have been assisted by the department in terms of securing documentation in status. What I want to quickly briefly mention though is because of the COVID pandemic, it's been devastating across the whole piece. But for our efforts, it's also had a really negative impact in the sense that what myself and Azar did, and I've talked about this before, why I've always been eternally grateful for the Bishop Desmond Jadu and Reverend Clive Foster and the National Windrush Organisation is providing support in this. It's actually go out on the road and engage with people and meet people and provide that one-to-one service. Like I say, the pandemic and restrictions have put a halt on that. But I want to try and assure people we're still wanting to do that. And with the assistance of the National Windrush Organisation, we are trying to start an online service. Now, this will work. What we're trying to do essentially is replicate the physical event on a virtual platform. And the challenge on the physical event was to have people feel comfortable, confident and safe enough to approach the Home Office and meet the Home Office. And the support given by the Bishop and Reverend enabled us to do that. On the virtual platform, the challenge will probably be slightly greater because it will require a greater level of input from our support. So the National Windrush Organisation, etc., will be required, or we're asking them to actually be our go-betweens. So if people want to come to this service, they won't come directly to the Home Office, they will come via trusted sources. Because I'm conscious that despite us being in existence for 3 years, the reputation of the Home Office still amongst a lot of people is still tarnished. So the levels of suspicion and fear and mistrust are still out there. So I want to try and emphasize that this, in terms of safety and security, will be assured because it won't be directly to myself, it will be via our trusted partners. So shout out from me is for anybody who still has issues, who wants to discuss the issues on a one-to-one. We will be looking to start this program at sometime in March. We need to get things in place, but we want to get this up and running because we want to do it on a sustainable basis, probably once every fortnight, depending on demand and depending on how quickly we can help provide assistance. So that is essentially what we're trying to do. That is my latest input in what I want to try and do and try and reach out to people. Don't get me wrong, I know it will not always go as swimmingly as we would hope, but the commitment from myself, from colleagues like Azar, will be to provide that assistance. And we will do our level best to provide honest, open, direct conversations with people, because there's no point in us trying to appease somebody just to make them feel better. We will have to be giving the information which is, as far as we know, factually correct. So please, if people want to interact with us on this basis, we will be coming out and it will be done via initially the National Windrush Organisation, and we will take that forward from there. So that is all essentially I wanted to say on that. But if anybody has any questions around that, happy to take those questions. So thank you very much, Clive.
Thank you very much, David. So, you know, just to summarize on that, there's a call out for a potential online one-to-one private engagement if you've got status issues that you want to talk about, just as how potentially that could have happened in person. The Home Office, working with Windrush National Organisation, is looking to set that up. And so even like on these settings, you can have private breakout rooms where you can just be talking with a Home Office person from the status team in terms of what are the options and sharing that. So as the call out says, please do contact us if you're interested in that, and we'll be happy to sort of help support people and broker that as a result of that level of engagement that can be done online as well. So thank you very much for that, David. We're now going to, I don't know if anyone did have any questions for David whilst we're at this section now, because in terms of where we are on the agenda, we're just going to moving now to our question and answer session. So I know one or two people have got their hands up, and we want to bring those in. If you've got a question that's in the chat, I know there's one or two things going on in the chat as well. So I don't know if anyone, if Kate's had a chance to look at that, but I just want to reaffirm again that Kate Ridley Moy is really here to answer questions around the claims assistance. I know some of you may have questions around other aspects around Windrush, and if Kate can't manage them, we put them in the chat, or I'm sure if it's to do more around the status, Home Office, other personnel, David and Azar may be able to address that. So,
Clive.
And I'm going to, yeah, Bishop Desmond.
Yeah, just to add tonight, just to lay down the ground rules for our Q&A. We want these meetings to be constructive, and that's why we've set a very tight agenda. It doesn't stop you from asking your questions that you feel you need to ask. If they can't be answered, it's just an undertaking, and we will send them away for answers. However, we want to conduct ourselves in a respectful manner. At the last meeting, we had people trying to talk over others, people sending around disrespectful comments in the chat. And once again, I will reiterate, and I will take the flak for this, I will remove you without warning from tonight's meeting. And in addition to that, you will not be allowed into any future meetings. We're being very, very strict about this, because at the end of the day, we want everyone to, particularly newcomers to this meeting, new faces, to feel confident to talk up and ask their questions as well. And tonight we make no apologies. If we've got 5 minutes to go, because we finish at 8:30, and there's a fresh face asking a question and someone who's been to a meeting previously, then we will go to the person who is having their meeting for the first time. And I'm sure you'll agree that's important, because a part of this is to empower people to ask their questions directly. Back to you, Reverend Clive.
Thank you. So we've got a few hands up. So I'm going to kick off with Guy L, and then after that, Sister G. If you unmute Guy L, thank you.
Yeah, the question I want to put to Kate is this. She announced that they've paid out 8 million. And my question is, how many victims has this 8 million covers? Because I'm thinking, I am not a direct victim of that, but I'm thinking of an individual who has suffered the indignity of the Windrush issue, that their total payout, I would imagine, if they were paid accordingly, it would be exceed 8 million. So how many victims did this 8 million that Kate announced this evening covers? How many victims does it cover?
So the 8.5 million that we paid or offered at the end of January related to around about 250 applicants. So what they'd done in that first 6 weeks was really prioritise people who had had previous offers, of which there was about 250, to get back in touch with those people and provide them with a raised offer, an increased offer. That work has now been completed. So we'll be coming out next week with the latest round. But all of the people who had previously had an offer and received their compensation payment, which was around about 250, have now been contacted with their increased offer. And then what we've done is we're going through the remaining people who have got an application in. So say there was around about 1,500 applications. We have already processed about half of those, or a third of those. We're now going through those other 2/3 to have a look and see, on the basis of the information we've already got, is that enough to offer the preliminary offer of £10,000? And where it is, that's what we've been doing. So we've been making those offers to people where we've already got enough information to say, you're definitely going to get something. It might be a lot more than 10,000 in the long run, but so that you're not waiting without anything, we provide that £10,000 up front. And we are working our way through those and writing to people to either say, yes, we've already got enough information from your application form to give you 10,000. We haven't yet, or the second category is we haven't yet got enough information, but we will continue to sort of get back in touch. Or the third is we have now had a chance to process your application and unfortunately you're not eligible for compensation. So that's what we're doing at the moment with the remaining people who had previously applied to the scheme but who hadn't had their final offer yet.
Thank you, Kate. So I think we've got the answer there, 250 people. I'm going to hand over now to Sister G.
Hi, Kate. Mike, I've actually got two questions for you. I wanted to know, because I don't know if you've got it down, the exact figures of the people who were previously paid, who had accepted their offers, and how many of them have received the increase. And there's another question what I had actually put to your colleague, Thomas, in relation to close family members. Are their cases going to be taken up with the same caseworker who dealt with the primary claimants? He couldn't give me an answer to that because it's a simpler process, and I don't see why close family members have to go through the same procedures when their cases would have been known if they came from a primary claimant. This is what I wanted to ask. And then also to David as well, I see that he does this outreach work, and I want to know, how are you going to get the trust of the people to come forward to deal with this new scheme that you're bringing out in March? Do you think that the people can trust you, and how are you going to get them to trust you to come forward to deal with this? Because to be honest, David, I can't see it happening, because people have lost faith in the Home Office. To be honest, they really have. There's not only the Windrush National Organisation, which covers a lot of people. There's other organisations that you could have approached to get people to come to you. But like I said, they're not going to touch you. They're not going to come to you because they don't trust the Home Office. Also, the information that you seem to rely on a lot is on this cross-government working group, who hasn't come to any of these Windrush groups to find out any information of what we're doing or how we feel. Not one of them, not Paulette Simpson, not Reverend Webley, not one of them have come to any of the groups, what I call the grassroots groups, the people who matter, to come and ask us exactly, how do you feel? What can we do? They're just coming to the task force team and saying, well, this is going to work, that's going to work. But they are not the ones who are suffering. They haven't come to the actual people to say to them, how can we help you? That's my question to you.
Thank you very much, Sister G. Yeah, I think Bishop Webley did attend one of our meetings, but I think you made your point in terms of engagement from the wider committees there. So Kate, I don't know if you can respond to any of those questions around the how many people have been previously paid and the same caseworker for close family.
On the people previously paid, so on that end of January figure, which was the 8.5 million, that was on the basis of 286 offers, or I think it was all 226 offers. That number has gone up since then, and as we said at the time, all the people who had previously had an offer or a payment, we would do by the end of January, and we have been able to do that, which was roughly 250 people. On top of that, we have now been doing the preliminary payments. So we'll be coming out next week with the latest statistics on that, but it is a substantial number again. So it will be quite a big increase on that end of January figure. I can certainly feed back to the Windrush Working Group. I think that they have been to various different events. So I know that Bishop Webley has done some of the events that are Windrush ambassadors have organised, for example. So they've definitely been to some, but we can feed that back to them. On whether or not it is the same caseworker, I don't know. I will have to find out from Tom, but yeah, I'm not sure the answer to that.
Okay, thanks a lot. We'll pick that up as an ongoing question. David, have you any thoughts in terms of the response around trust?
Trust. Sister G, I have no doubt you have been fully aware of the issues which a lot of people are facing, and I am fully aware of those issues as well. I think you know, I've said this on numerous occasions. I started this when the whole Windrush scandal broke in April 2018. Met lots of people up and down the country, but I'm conscious of the fact that the impacts people have suffered over 60, 70 years will not be eroded, will not be rolled back after a couple of years. So it will take time. It will always take time. And you can do 20 good pieces of work and one not so good piece of work. You will know as well as I do, the one not so good piece of work will be the one which gets the attention. I'm going to speak now, and please forgive me if I seem to, I speak honestly and openly and directly. But I want to push back when you say people don't have trust in the Home Office and they don't like us, etc. That may be a lot of people, and I'm not doubting that. But I can say to you that I've known lots of people who have given us endorsements for the work which is being carried out. Now, I'm not saying there aren't lots of people who still do not trust the Home Office, and I understand that. Would 100% understand that. And that's why I've said, for me, this is a program which has to continue, because we will not change people's opinions overnight. This will take time. And I've said this on many occasions before. We will continue to do this, as far as I am concerned, as long as we are allowed to, because at the end of the day, the need is real. There are still people who are hurting. There are still people who are impacted. There are still people who are not trusting enough, are afraid of us. So we need to make the connections. I've said as well, and I come back, it's quite a nice segue for me to come back into the work of the National Windrush Organisation, because they've supported us throughout and they continue to do so. But it's not just this organisation. I only mention this organisation because they're hosting this event tonight. I'm working with other organisations up and down the country, just as we did on the physical events. It's not just reliant on one event, on one organisation. It would be naive to assume that. I'm engaging with numerous different organisations to try and do this, because it requires the scale which is necessary to reach as many people as possible. So I push back. I happily say to yourself, my hope is that by our actions, by our workings, we start to win people's trust back. But I'm happy to take on board, I've always said this, I'm happy to take on board anybody's suggestions if they think they can help advance what we're trying to do. I have no ego in this. I have no ego to bruise. If people think, well, David, what you're doing could be improved, or David, what you're doing is completely missing the mark, happy to take that on board, because fundamentally, my remit is to provide that assistance. My remit is to be that gateway so people can say, right, we can feel empowered or sure or safe enough to come and engage with the Home Office, notwithstanding people's experiences. Because I know, just like so many other people, how bad the Windrush experience has been. I have family, I have friends who have been through things. So I am, what's the word? I am highly motivated to reach out and get people the attention and the assistance. If you think I'm not doing enough, if you think there's other things that I could be doing, happy to have that conversation, happy to have that discussion, because at the end of the day, I am who I am. I am not, I don't have the be all and end all. We work hopefully as a collaboration. And I hope over time, the fruit of our efforts are seen.
Thank you, David. I'm going
but Glendy, you can come back to me if you want, please. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I will, David. Don't worry, I will.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. She'll come back to you privately, David. Thanks, David, for that response. Thanks, Glenda. Okay, I'm going to move on to some other questions. I'm going to invite June Elizabeth and then Marissa. So if you've got a question, please, please put your hand up. or put it in the chat. So over to you, June.
Thank you very much. Good evening. And Kate, just want to ask two quick questions. Which department were you transferred from?
So I was in the Cabinet Office for the last 3.5 years before joining the Home Office. And then
what were you doing in the Cabinet Office? What were you doing there? What kind of work?
So I ran a policy innovation team. So our job was to pick up cross-cutting problems around government that individual departments hadn't been able to solve, and to find new approaches to tackling them.
Thank you very much.
So it was felt that that would be a that sort of coming in as a fresh pair of eyes to challenge that the Home Office hadn't had been struggling with, and running that team would provide that sort of necessary fresh oversight.
Right, thank you. And the second question, I reconfirm as the ex Windrush ambassador with Tom and with Joanne, the updates we had December, whereas we were employed voluntary to do another 3 weeks to promote the updates. One of the updates was that new claimants, within 6 weeks of you receiving it, they would receive some kind of acknowledgement. So that's what was told, and I've reconfirmed it in the chat with Joe, and I've done it verbally and twice with Tom, but it's not materialized. So what's happened? I am no longer a Windrush ambassador like we all are for the Home Office, but I am a representative and a Windrush advocate. And I've got 3 claimants, and they're new claimants from December. So I promoted this story, and we not only built bridges to help build the confidence of the claimants back, right? But as a rep, when I ring up the Home Office now, they don't want to know me. I've sent 6 emails and I've rang up on 5 different occasions, and the last time they said they'll get their manager. He said he'd ring me, didn't ring. When I rang back, so I said to someone on Monday in the vulnerable persons team that one of my vulnerable clients said to me, "I dead them, I wait for me for dead." So I relayed that to Dawn, in the vulnerable persons team, because and I said to her, not only the bridge that we try to build voluntary, but also my reputation and the other reps and advocates' reputation in promoting what you asked us to do, and then you're not delivering on that time frame. So I've got the claimants ringing me, asking me what's happened. I thought you said they were going to contact us in 6 weeks, and it's gone past that date now. So I think I'm just saying, why give us things to promote that not only are not going to deliver, but some of your people on the help desk do not know about it.
I will go away and find out about that. I'll speak to Tom. Certainly all of the commitments that we made in December, as far as I'm aware, we have either delivered them or on track for delivering them. So no one's mentioned to me that there is a problem with the acknowledgement letters. But if it sounds, if you're saying that actually in practice those haven't arrived through people's doors, I will find out what that problem is. And yeah, I completely agree, as David has hinted at. If the Home Office want to rebuild the trust that was lost as a result of what we did during the Windrush scandal, we need to put our money where our mouth is. And if we say we will do something, we need to deliver on that, which is why certainly Tom and his team are have been working so hard to make sure that the commitments that they made in December, they have been delivering on. So I will find out why that is, because that's certainly not our intention at all.
You did understand when I said, he said, "Are you awake for if you're dead?" Did you understand what I was saying? That's okay.
Yep,
so you'll come back to the Windrush National?
Yeah, we'll come back.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, June. We've got your question in the chat as well, so I'm sure we can get back a written response. I'm going to open for Marissa, and then after that, Chris. if you want to unmute, Marissa.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Definitely.
Are you hearing me?
We can hear you fine. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Marissa. I'm from Trinidad. My father is Richard Black, and I don't know if you're familiar with Richard Black.
Tell us a little bit about Richard Black.
Okay, so basically he came to the UK in the 60s and was stranded in Trinidad. When he met my mom, they came on vacation and he got stranded. He wasn't able to go back to the UK after extended vacation. All right. My two elder sisters were born in the UK. However, I was born in Trinidad. All right. Since the scandal, my mom got the right of abode, which she always had due to being married to my dad, who at one point had, I guess, British citizenship or CUKC status. All right. With this status that my mom had, if she had known that she could have registered me when they were going in to the embassy I don't know, I guess for years they've been trying to get back to the UK, to live to the UK, and they've been telling them, well, no, you don't belong in the UK. No, you're not a citizen. No, this, no, that. If she had known then, I would have been registered as a UK citizen or like my sisters and would be able to travel freely like my sisters. So now my family is split up. I'm in Trinidad, right? My mom is now in the States, so she's remarried, right? My father lives in South Trinidad with his present wife, and my sisters are one in the UK and one in St. Martin. And it's very hard for me to visit my family or to be around my family because of this whole Windrush situation, debacle.
Okay.
So I would like to know if, because I've did a lot of reading, right? I would like to know if the Home Office tends to help me in some kind of way that I could be with my siblings. Because I've seen on the I think it's called the case-based scenarios, and they have where certain, where the Home Office gave bad advice to, I guess, parents of children, they would now have to give them whatever citizenship they would have gotten if the advice was given correctly.
Sure.
I would like to know if the Home Office would accept that they did that, which they did, and they can now please acknowledge me and give me what is I should have gotten 32 years ago, because I'm now 32.
Thank you,
And
Marissa.
have you spoken to the Windrush help team?
They said that I'm not Windrush because I was not there before 1988, and I couldn't have been because I was born in Trinidad, because my parents could not have been in the UK because of the whole Windrush saga.
David, I don't know, obviously there is details here which need to be looked at. Obviously she's had some kind of engagement through the Windrush eligibility scheme and it doesn't seem to be working for her. David, I don't know if there's anything that you want to say around this.
I just want to say, Marissa, so have you formally applied to the Windrush scheme?
Yes, I did, and they told me that I am not qualified because I've not been in the UK before 1988. But there's no way I could have been because I was born in 1988 in Trinidad, because my parents were not allowed to enter the UK. They were locked out.
All I would say, because what your case is being considered and the Windrush, and it's being considered by the caseworkers and they've made that decision. But the letter does actually say, if you feel that the decision is wrong, that you can apply for a review. The review.
I did.
Sorry?
I did.
Yes. Okay.
I did. I did reply to that, and they still said that basically, what did they say? They said, however, my claims may not be wrong, but they then pointed me to, I'm still not a part of Windrush, and then they pointed me to different websites that I should choose from. However, I do not know if I am to register or if I am to naturalize. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they're not helping. It's very vague. It's not helpful. And I would think they would want to help me because my two parents were part of that Windrush saga.
Yeah. Bishop Desmond, was there anything you want to come in with? Sorry, David, if there's anything else that you wanted to add.
Well,
Can I just come in there, if that's all right?
Sure. Yeah, Azar. Yep.
Windrush, she's not going to qualify, obviously, as she's mentioned.
Yeah.
No children of Windrush from abroad. Plus, obviously, she's over 18 now. The only thing I can think of, obviously, she needs to do a bit more research, is if a mother did have the right aboard and still holds the right aboard, may look at a different category. In regards to Windrush, she's not going to fall within any categories.
Okay, thanks, Reverend Clive. On this one, we have assisted some people in a very similar scenario, and they now have citizenship. The last one was last week, and she's never been to the UK. She's been in Jamaica. So, Marissa, I think you've registered. I've seen your email address.
Yeah.
We'll be in touch. We'll drop you an email tomorrow with full contact details, and we'll have a conversation. We'll pick that up with you. Okay.
Desmond, can I just say something? I think her dad has got the right. Her dad's Richard Black, and I've had close links with your dad, Marissa, and he has got the right as a Windrush victim. So she should be able to fall within that category. So I don't know why the Home Office is telling her she's not. But I'm going to speak to your dad tomorrow, Marissa, because I'm sure he does fall within it, and the Home Office is giving him the runaround of getting him back into the country. So I do know about your case, but I'll speak to your dad again tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks, thanks, Glenda. And Glenda, if you can feed into me, and let's have a conversation after you speak to him as well. As I've said, we've had a few cases like this, and we are making headway on them now. So let's
and also, my mom does have the right of a vote passport.
Yeah. So
yes,
we can definitely pick that up. All right.
So
definitely, and you've got my word on that, and we'll get in touch tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Reverend Clive. Thank you, Marissa.
Thank you, Marissa. And thank you very much, Marissa, for dialing in from Trinidad as well. And thank you for, I really appreciate that. And you've got some feedback here, hopefully to help try and support you. Chris, if you can come in, and just to say, everyone, we're down to our last 15 minutes. So please, if you do have a question, please do raise your hand. If there is a question in the chat that you've probably put in there and you may want to ask that, then do that. We're into our last 15 minutes, so just giving you a bit of a heads up there. Chris.
Hello, I've got a question. My question only got developed because of what's been said in the room. Now, first thing is, it's about the trust issue with the Home Office. David, this question is mainly to you. You've spoken about trust with the Home Office and how we need to rebuild this trust. And I understand everything you've said, and I hear you passionately speaking about how you've had some positive feedback, and you know that it hasn't all been bad, but we pick up on the bad more than we do the good, which I can agree with. But we still have this one problem of when you ask for trust, the Home Office are not actually, and I believe this is what's happening, the Home Office are not actually being trusted, not because of them trying to change it or build trust. You're using the WNO or whatever organization to go through task force. You're using them as a go-between to tell us the same answers that we were getting when we were having the hostile environment. The hostile environment has not changed. The policy are still in place. So how can you not give us different answers to what you've been giving us while the policy was in place? I'm sorry, I'm not playing stupid here. I'm just trying to understand this. If a policy hasn't been changed at the top, then what answers are you giving to the WNO? Because if I go to the WNO, which I did do, and I approached people from different organizations about my status and how I still can't get a status in this country, and they still give me an ILR card, but this is the same answers I would have got if I approached the Home Office directly. So what has changed? What makes the trust any different? So you're just going to me, go to someone else, speak to someone else that you trust, we'll give them the answers that we're going to give you, and then they can come back and relay it to you. So you're making it just take longer for me to get bad news. That's really what it is, because the Home Office hostile environment is still causing a major problem. It's stopping people from getting their status. It's stopping people from, and like Marissa said, from even qualifying for Windrush. All of these things have not changed. So what really has changed when it comes to this whole, I'm now going out on a campaign to make people trust the Home Office? If you want trust, is it not right to change your policy first for us to see that change? And then trust comes back when people start saying, I have now gone to the Home Office and I have been given a fair treatment and I have got what I asked for and it was fairly done. That is all you need to gain trust. Trust does not come from campaigns and going to a third party. So me personally, I can't see how that will work, because I still don't trust the Home Office, even if I go to the WNO, even if I go to a solicitor and pay them £10,000, I will still say to my solicitor, I don't trust the Home Office. I know they will try and bamboozle me. I know they will try and bamboozle me. That's why I'm paying you £10,000 to get me through the bamboozling and get me what I need. This is exactly what you're telling us we must do. So I'm sorry if I sound, how to say, a bit skeptical, but to me, it doesn't seem like the Home Office are doing enough to make the changes that will make us trust them again. If they want trust, they've got to make changes. Just one last question. Okay. Kate, I'm sorry, Kate, I've got to ask you this. You talk about the 8.5 million. Let's be honest here. I've looked at the stats. Your stats are 8.5 million. First of all, it's not 8.5 million. It's 8.5 million to date from 3 years ago. What you've paid recently is mainly preliminary payments. And you've said to us continuously, we've paid out, we've paid out. Please, I'm a Windrush victim, so I like to hear the truth. It's what you've offered is 8.5 million. A lot of people are rejecting it, and the only reason tier 1s and tier 2s are still rejecting your offers is because even though there's an increase, you haven't taken into consideration the trauma and what has been lost by the victim. And you have still made tariff 3 the tariff that only people can reach. We can't reach tariff 4. So you lot are still making problems and then talking to us like we're looking into these problems. We're not seeing the changes. I've been a victim for 3 years now. I'm still a victim. So please, if you've had some good stories, fair enough, but we need you lot to do more. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and you've done that very eloquently. David, there's an element about trust. Just to say, obviously, you know, the people on the call here are civil servants, and there's an element of around changing policy, which is parliamentarians and ministers aspects. I'm sure you're aware of that, Chris. But I'm going to give it a chance for David to respond, and if Kate wants to come back. And I don't know if Bishop Desmond Jadu wants to say anything about the whole sort of the campaign around the hostile environment. David.
Yeah, thank you, Clive. Thank you, Chris. Your skepticism, Chris, is completely understandable. Please don't think, first of all, please don't think I'm taking this personally, because I'm not. I understand people's frustrations. I understand what people say that they don't think what I'm saying is genuine or what. I can perfectly get that. I understand that. What I would say, though, is to reiterate a bit of what Clive says, in the sense that, and this is not to try and get myself out of any issues, whatever, because I am quite happy to discuss anything with anybody. But there's a limit to what I can do as a civil servant. There are certain things which I am a civil servant. First and foremost, I am a paid member of the civil service. I am operating along civil service guidance and home office guidance. I work within those parameters. My work within those parameters is to try and do as much as I can within that, but I've got to recognize and I've got to communicate to people in order to manage people's expectations. That's why I've said this will take a long time, because my scope, my area of operations is limited to the engagement. It's limited to try to initially get people to come onto the system, to come and try and resolve their status. I said this before, the Home Office has got a lot of things wrong. Many people might think it still gets things wrong. And when I will admit it, we still will get things wrong. The way we put those right, or we get those right, is to have the challenge, is to have people hold us up. The NWO challenges us all the time. All the time. I don't have straightforward, oh, yes, yes conversations all the time. There isn't that. With other stakeholders, there is challenge because people see where the Home Office isn't doing things right or where there could be improvements. So I 100% accept what you're saying, Chris, about there may be issues, there are issues which are higher in the sense that the policies may need to be changed. That's fine, I accept that. But all I can speak for and all I can try and encourage and all I'm trying to do is to try and get people to initially come forward and take that trust in terms of resolving their status. Because if people don't, people's situations remain the same. I've said that all the time. And whilst we can say, this isn't right, that isn't right, that isn't right, I know that there are cases which have gone through and people have got status. So people are no longer having to look over their shoulders. People are no longer having to not be able to access NHS health, etc., because they have that status. I want people to get the status initially so they can live straightforward lives and not look over their shoulders. That's my first concern. Everything else comes after that. If you want to change things after, fine, but please come forward. And yes, like I said before, say it again. If you think there's things we're not doing right, you're in the right forum. Send the challenge. The challenge is always welcome because if the Home Office has have created this situation, so I can understand people's lack of faith in us getting it right. But we're here to try and do that.
Thank you, David. Kate, was there anything you wanted to come back on with regards to the 8.5 million?
So just in terms of the payments, I can assure you that money is leaving the Home Office and is going into people's bank accounts, and that is happening at a faster rate than it has for the entire history of the compensation scheme. As I say, we're producing those monthly statistics. Those statistics are completely independent of politicians. They're produced by our statisticians. They're based on factual information about the money that's leaving our bank accounts. In terms of the volumes of some of those payments, so we did produce some case studies that went with the press release that we put out in January. So for example, one person who had previously been offered just over £45,000 to compensate them for loss of access to employment and an impact on life has now been contacted and offered over £110,000, which they've accepted. Lots of people do accept the offers that they're made, obviously not everybody, and you don't have to, but you know, there are a lot of payments being made over the last, since December the 14th, in excess of £100,000. So obviously, you know, that's not everybody. We want to get it faster. We want to speed that up so that everybody's getting paid more quickly. But just to assure you that there are genuinely people receiving over £100,000 as a result of those changes in December. That money is now in people's bank accounts.
I'm sorry, Kate. I don't mean to be rude, and I do understand that you're giving me the script and I hear it all, but let me get something right now. Let me say the facts. You've just said something which I'm using. I'm using your statistics. I'm not using some independent statistics from somewhere else. I'm using what the Home Office put out. And what the Home Office have actually said is this: they have paid out £110,000. Don't make out like you've paid it to many people, because you have not. A lot of people have fallen underneath tariff free, which means they have not been given more than £45,000. Those changes that you're talking about are people who accepted their payments from before. They accepted the 7.5k. You increased that to 40,000. You've added that 40,000 onto what you've paid out. Those people had been worn out, accepted their first offer. So you've said to us, we've paid out lots of money. No, you've just added what you should have to those people. Now, the people in tier 1 who are looking at reviews, those people are now being made the offer that you would have made if it was their first offer. If these tariffs had been already changed. So it looks good on paper, it looks good what you're saying, but the truth of the matter is people are still rejecting it based on the fact that their reviews are not being done properly. And that's where the problem is, not with what they're being paid, not with what you lot are leaving in your bank account. First of all, and I have to say this, it feels very insulting to me when you say leaving our bank accounts. Taxpayers' money is the money that everyone in this room have been paying for years. Most of us couldn't because of what the Home Office done. Let's not forget where we stand. We all stand in a place. Do not make out you are doing us a favor. You are paying us for what you've done wrong to us. That is
Chris.
fact.
Yeah.
So sorry. Please,
Yeah.
I don't like it though when people say things like leaving our bank account. It's leaving your bank account. That's money that's due to us. It shouldn't be leaving. That's reparations for what we lost.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the victims have been hurt.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I think you've really made your point, and I think I don't know if Kate wants to come back, but I think that the point has been well made and well received in that it's not just about the actual amount of money, but the actual process and experience that people are experiencing. And I think you've made your point very well. But thanks, Kate, as well for doing that, because you know there are just certain facts, aren't there? There's a certain amount of money and there's a certain amount of people that have got it. And I think Chris was making a valid point in terms of the experience and the obviously the way that money has been actually identified as being paid. So look, we're down to it's coming to 8:30 now. So we really need to be winding up. I've got Bishop Desmond. I just wanted to ask about that quick point about the overall hostile environment. And I know there's some work going on that about how that needs to be addressed, and that is something that's come up in the Wendy Williams report. Bishop Desmond, if you want to say anything as regards to that, and then we'll have to see what we're doing in terms of consent, in terms of closing the meeting. Bishop Desmond.
Well, I'll just use that, Clive, and I'll just wrap this up as well at the same time. So thank you all very much for your questions this evening. There are several comments and questions in the chat, which we will be taking forward. Marissa will be in touch with you, and I will also speak to Glenda tomorrow regarding your dad. And in response to one question in the chat, will the video be available? It'll be on our website within the next 7 days. And also as well, all the questions from tonight's chat will be forwarded to the Home Office as well within the course of the next 7 days once we go through the chat, and the responses will be posted on the website. All of you who have registered tonight, that information will go there. In terms of the surgeries, it's not an exclusive event that we'll be having with the Home Office. It will be open to any organization to have arranged something. All we see ourselves as is that bridge. And if no one attends, no one attends. If people attend, they attend. But the importance is that people such as Marissa, don't feel I'm zoning on you. You've had an opportunity to come here tonight and express yourself. And that's what this is about. This is about empowering people to stand up and say, listen, I've suffered an injustice. I want what is mine. And the thing about it is the WNO, we're not just hosting this meeting and we leave it until next month. There's a heck of a lot of work that goes on in between. And the hostile environment, yes, it does impact. And this is why we're finding alternative ways. When some people have said they're not Windrush, they don't qualify, but we find another way in which people do qualify. And we have recognized, and it's something I've raised with Tom Gregg, that you know, some of the missions overseas, for example, have not been given correct advice over the years. And some people have lost that as a result of that. So, and it is something that we're presenting rather all the time. And we present additional issues. That's why tonight we talked about exceptional payments. I don't have no need to apply for exceptional payment. I wish I could, but I can't. However, those who need to, we need to grasp your experiences and present them to the Home Office and say, you need to improve it by A, B, C. So one of the things is, as a part of that bridge, is to pick up all these additional issues. In terms of the hostile environment, we do have our thoughts on that. I'm not going to have a debate on it tonight, but we do have our thoughts. And one of our thoughts is, now that Britain is not in the EU, I personally, and this is me personally, because I've not discussed it with my fellow directors or our national executive, is that there should be a full amnesty to let everyone come forward and get their stay regularized in the UK in some way, shape or form. But that's only my personal view. But at the end of the day, it's something that we may well have to look at in presenting. It's only talk at the moment, but we're recognizing that more and more with the work Nigel has said that he's doing in Bradford, associated with Windrush National Organisation. We're now even having to develop financial funding to help people who are caught up in the hostile environment, of no recourse to public funds, and also people who have returned to the country as a result of the Windrush scandal, and they need financial assistance as well. So there's a lot of work that's going on, and we recognize that. So finally, the only thing I can say is don't think we're just here for fame and fortune. If we were, then we'd be totally broke. We're here for the long haul in terms of ensuring that people who have been impacted by this, that their voices are heard, and they can be heard not exclusively through us, but with other organizations. And what we bring you is the ability for all of us to be able to work together to get justice for the Windrush generation. As Nigel said as well, when he spoke about the Windrush flag, etc., the reason we wanted you to hear that is that we want the Windrush generation to have the full respect that they deserve. So thank you all very much for being here this evening. God bless you all. Reverend Clive, over to you to close.
Thank you very much, Bishop Desmond, and thank you all for attending. And big thanks to Nigel Guy. Thank you very much, Kate Ridley-Moy, and to David from the Home Office, and to Azar as well. And a big thank you for those of you who had a chance to ask questions and to post in the chat. Do look out for our next meeting, March the 22nd. We'd like to end as we started with a word of prayer. So those of you who would like to join with us at this time as we just say a closing prayer. Shall we pray? Father, we just thank you for your mercy and your goodness towards us. Lord, we look to you in all things as our source of strength, and we ask for your guidance, your Holy Spirit, your power, and your insight in leading us into all truth. Thank you for keeping us even during this time. There are many who are suffering, who have lost loved ones. We pray for the healing, and we pray for your compassion and mercy to guide us. Thank you for all that you are to us, and continue to watch over us as we look to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all very much for joining us again this evening. Please look after yourselves and stay safe. And thank you again, and look forward to hopefully joining with you again at our next Windrush National Organisation online engagement. Have a great evening. Good night.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.